Igama lamakhosikazi. Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Elijah Bahai, long live. Long live the undying spirit of John Gomomo, long live. Long live the undying spirit of Mama Emma Mashinini, long live. Pilangona Pagate, Winnie Matikizela Mandela, Pilangona Pagate. Pilangona Pagate, Nonzigelelo, Sisulu, Pilangona Pagate. Amandla. Thank you very much, Deputy President Mike. Comrades, the outgoing Cosatu national office bearers, in particular, Comrade Dumo Dlamini and Comrade Jojo James, the African National Congress, the South African Communist Party, SANCO, MDM leadership, international and domestic guests present here, including media institutions and Congress delegates, please kindly receive our profound and revolutionary greetings. Comrades, delegates, we have now come to the end of the resoundingly successful 13th National Congress of our glorious and class-orientated trade union movement. The Congress of South African Trade Unions, on behalf of the newly elected collective of the national office bearers, I shall now make the closing remarks to bid farewell to all of you, one and all, as we make our way back to our workstations and to implement our bold undertakings and program of action. Similarly, to our alliance delegates and the delegates of the formations of the mass democratic movement and our international friends, both from our own continent and abroad, we thank you for gracing our Congress with your attendance and pledge to strengthen our relations going forward. Comrades, I am humbly standing in front of you now even more confident and convinced that indeed this militant trade union movement of Elijah Bahai is once again rising. As the leadership, we are confident that this Cosatu, emerging from this 13th National Congress, is on a steady but surely recovery tragedy, and definitely ready to meet its workplace, organizational, socio-economic, political, and international challenges that lie ahead. Clearly, our challenges, comrades, and difficulties are many, but the resolutions that we have debated and adopted provide us with a clear and practical way forward, and they place us on a realistic media-term platform to forge a strong and fighting weapon for all workers in our country. As we rise to conclude this watershed Congress, it will be remiss of me not to acknowledge the historic and far-reaching gains that Cosatu has taken at this Congress. Cosatu is communicating a clear message for the world and the country to know that women within the ranks of this radical trade union movement are ready to take the responsibility at the sharpest end of the struggles of emancipation of all women in our society. We're gearing ourselves, comrades, to occupy the front ranks and coalface as the organized and class consciousness detachment of the broader working class women, which is the primary motive force of the women's emancipation struggle. We must strengthen and advance women's struggles at the workplace, in our communities, and in the broader political terrain. Practical and active involvement in struggles in itself, itself part of the emancipatory process. And together with our progressive allies in the trade union movement, we have at this Congress built and advanced on the long and proud history of women leadership in the workers' struggle. Comrades, delegates, this should not be an isolated achievement, but part of our sustained and conscious efforts of broadening active participation of women at all levels of our unions, and we must seriously take the task of building capacity and ideological training on gender and patriarchy, not only for women, but also for our male members, shop stewards, officials, and leaders. It is not an exaggeration to say that this class consciousness detachment of organized workers in South Africa in the fold of Cosatu is once again making history and opening a new chapter that will go down in our proud historical annals of trade union women leadership. We indeed have a long chain of pioneering trade union leaders, now for over a century. From the militant Mary Fitzgerald, Johanna Cornelius, Ray Alexander Simons, Frances Bard, Liz Abrahams, to Charlotte Maxeke, the founder member of the South African Native National Congress, the forerunner to the ANC and the Bantu Women's League, and the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, who in the publication Umthetheli Wabantu sharply raised and addressed the woman question. These are the icons, heroines, and martyrs, not only for the working people, but also for the broader working class. They have laid the foundation of our militant trade union movement. Your collective decision in this regard is indeed a tribute to these women leaders, the shop stewards, and countless others who were ordinary members, and all of those who for years tirelessly worked to build strong women leaders inspired by our own long-standing battle cry, Wathini Tabafazi, Wathini Timbokodo. Comrades, because of your bold decision out of this watershed Congress, I am now finding myself standing on these broad and strong shoulders of the legendary and gallant women leaders such as Jabu Ndlovu, Violet Siboni, and Emathandi Mashinini, amongst others, who was also fondly known as the Tiny Giant, the founder of Kawusa, and indeed one of the founding leaders of Cosatu. Of course, there are countless other trade union women leaders for which I shall forever be indebted, and I dare say that I shall do everything in my power and ability to work with the collective leadership of the national office bearers of our federation, whom you have also unanimously elected in this Congress, as well as the leaders of our affiliates. big or small, private or public sector. Our new leadership, comrades, reflects who we are as the Federation, and we shall together lead this organization to grow from strength to strength. This Workers' Parliament has issued a clear directive to all layers of leadership in our ranks, to our provincial leaders, organizers, officials, shop stewards, that let us build and deepen unity, fight corruption and factionalism in these workers' organizations. And together, comrades, as this collective leadership in front of you and with the leadership of all the affiliates, we are saying in one voice that we shall steer our federation to scale new heights. Comrades, we cannot remain static or stagnant, otherwise we shall die. We must make giant steps forward. We have to make sure that when we meet again at our 14th National Congress, we would be stronger, bigger, and even strategically clear, with many of our resolutions across our pillars being implemented. Comrades, we are inspired by our glorious past, and so we are saying, let's go back to the basics in order to strengthen our foundation, but also to build a radical trade union movement of the future. In these rapidly changing conditions and terrain of struggle today, comrades, in this changing world of work and global capitalism of the approaching age of the fourth industrial revolution, the organized workers of our country are facing the real catastrophe of job losses if they remained weak and divided as they are. Unity is our clarion call. And as Cosatu, we are proudly of Marxism-Leninism and NDR as our theoretical and strategic guide to action. Therefore, comrades, in our theory and practice, we must remain steadfast in proclaiming the call of the Communist Manifesto, and I quote, "Workers of the world, unite." This must remain our guiding principle in our active involvement in the activities of ITUC and WFTU, and in working with all our international friends and allies. Capitalism is a global system, and the working class must unite if it is to defend itself in the face of intensifying exploitation, and if it is to make advances for socialism. This must be our long-term objective, especially in our continent and in the region. Comrades, over the past weeks, we have seen the impressive upsurge in mass mobilization and protest by the organized workers of Swaziland under the banner of Tukoswa. The 3 days legal strike action that ended today is already a resounding success, and as agreed, we shall step up our own solidarity action, and this time involving each and every affiliate of Cosatu. We have also agreed to reach out and to strengthen our relationship with the radical trade union movement in Venezuela and Cuba, the revolutions that are under sustained attacks. Once again, comrades, our Congress has reaffirmed our commitment to the internationalist and solidarity struggles on the side of the people of Western Sahara, Palestine, and to step up our campaign against the US blockade on Cuba. Comrades, we call on the South African government to implement the Nasrec resolution on the immediate and unconditional downgrade of the embassy in Tel Aviv. It is now more than 6 months since the withdrawal of our ambassador. We therefore call for the decisiveness on the part of the ANC government in this regard. Similarly, we believe that our government can do more to push back against the corrupt advances that Israel and Morocco are making within the African Union. Comrades, we can say with confidence that now we have truly emerged from the worst chapter in the gallant history of Cosatu. It is now closed and we are still here, strong and confident of our future, and we shall use this bitter experience in the interest of our federation and members. But we know, comrades, whilst we were bogged down by our internal paralysis and instability, the bosses were intensifying exploitation of workers and destroying jobs. Today, since the 2009 recession, we have an even more fragmented trade union landscape and even lower rate of unionization. Yet, job security, wage levels, and benefits have been declining. For the working class, the current recession is not technical. It is a real living experience. It represents declining income and rising cost of living. Mining, construction, and manufacturing have been on the sustained decline for a long time. Actually, comrades, since the 2009 recession, we are saying to the ANC government that the job summit must not be a public relation exercise for the bosses. It is a job summit, and therefore it must help to deliver jobs. It must be a meaningful platform to agree on an immediate economic stimulus package, on the real moratorium on job destruction by the bosses. And by the way, this includes moratorium in the public service. We know more than any class about the seriousness of the crisis levels of unemployment, poverty, and inequality that is engulfing our society, because each of us, our members, directly provide social security for many of the more than 15 million people who are not economically active, on top of the taxes that we are paying. So as the Alliance, we cannot afford to go to the 2019 elections whilst these symptoms of the underlying structural fault lines of our economy are worsening. We must provide real hope to our people based on decisive and concrete interventions. We cannot rely, comrades, just on the post-Nasrec euphoria that is now fading away. We must challenge ourselves, each of the Alliance components, to seriously commit to the goal of winning an overwhelming 2/3 victory in the 2019 election in order to secure the return of the land to our people without compensation. Comrades, the reconfiguration of the Alliance would be a massive boost towards the achievement of such a decisive victory. We are saying to the ANC government that from Nasrec, you have a clear mandate to practicalize the radical second phase of our transition. And indeed, from Polokwane, Mangaung to Nasrec, the resolutions provide a clear framework from the resolutions required, the Constitution, from the radical second phase. So there is no need to delay any further, not at all, because the resolutions are quite clear. What we only need is the implementation. And these resolutions, comrades of the ANC, resonate with our own policies as Cosatu. The growth path towards full employment, and hence, as the Federation, we must work with the South African Communist Party to build the Popular Front to drive campaigns around the agenda of the radical second phase. The national health insurance, the land question, education, the mandate of the Reserve Bank, and all issues of our campaigns. We have heard the messages from our vanguard party, the South African SABC, the South African Communist Party, loud and clear. That is, though practical struggles, that the alliance would be reconfigured, rather than in that we need practical struggles, because no alliance will be reconfigured in the boardroom. To have a reconfigured alliance, boardroom politics would not deliver a reconfigured alliance. We have to be together on the ground as an alliance, comrades. Before I sit down, I want to leave you with this message from Charlotte Maxeke, and I quote, "This work is not for yourself, for yourselves. Kill that spirit of self and don't live above your people, but live with them. And if you can raise, bring someone with you," close quote. Comrade, once again, thank you very much for your all-round contribution to the success of this Congress. Thank you for your discipline and active participation. And now, on behalf of the newly elected leadership collective of the national office bearers of our glorious movement, I wish you well on your journey back home. I also want to thank the staff of Cosatu for the sterling work that you have done as we were preparing for this 13th National Congress. Indeed, on behalf of the former national office bearers and the current leadership, we want to say thank you very much. Ningadinwa na ngomso. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my family for coming all the way from PE, Port Elizabeth, to come and grace this occasion. Indeed, I am truly humbled by the support you have given me, unwavering, unjudgmental. When the road had potholes, you held my hand and you identified the potholes and you allowed me to be able to notice them and not fall victims of those potholes. I really thank you, my father, my sisters, my children, my nieces that are here today. Thank you very much, comrades, and I wish you well going back home. Amandla.